Hello, this is OverlordBou, back with another information video, and today we'll be going over the SAT score, our top 5 guilty pleasure ships of World of Warships. So, I'm going to be having my top 3, and then SAT will score have his top 2 for the top 5 guilty pleasure ships in World of Warships. So, let's get started. So, my first guilty pleasure ship is going to be the Benham. I think this little demon of WoWs with its 10.5 kilometer torps that are extremely fast reloading with 65 seconds is an absolute monster of a destroyer. You want to go out and bully some battleships or a whole flank? The Benham is going to be the right ship for you. This thing has been a menace ever since its original debut in the special what was it in SAT score that it first came out in?
Uh, I think it was salvage event.
Yeah,
No, not
yeah.
salvage.
It was the Mad Max event.
Yes,
I forgot.
it was like in 2018 or 2019 or so.
Yeah, ever since it originally came out, it's been a menace on the server ever since. Yeah, this thing is pretty much a battleship's nightmare when trying to push into it, because it has so many torpedoes that no matter what, you're going to eat torpedoes sooner or later. And once it has you, it has you. It's almost impossible to run it down in a battleship. Even a cruiser will have trouble dealing with this thing. And even destroyers. There's just so many torpedoes that even destroyers will have to be really careful when engaging it. Just because they have to be careful not to get any of the 16 torpedoes that this monstrosity has. The only way you're able to get this ship nowadays is from Santa containers. And so you have to try to gamble your life away with all your savings to try to get this ship. What are your thoughts on the Benham yourself, SAT, from your experience?
Even it's like Benham is one of the easiest ships to use because all you do is you find the nearest enemy ship. You can even have RPF, throw torps until it dies, and that's literally all you do. Oh, and you also get a nice smoke in case someone does detect you. You don't have any guns, so ships can run you down, but but even destroyers don't like pushing into a Benham having to dodge 16 torps.
Yep.
And I am happy whenever I get a gunboat destroyer and I have the opportunity to run down a Benham, because I hate dealing with them.
Yeah, they are absolute nightmares. It is a joy to play, but to fight in a battleship or a cruiser is such a hard, almost impossible task to do. But if you're in a gunboat destroyer like SAT Score said, it is so much fun to kill these overconfident Benham players. It is so much fun. I love doing it. So moving on, let's talk about my next guilty pleasure ship, the Smolensk. The HE throwing demon, Russian biased demon of World of Warships. I don't know why. I don't even know how this ship got into the game, but like, look at the guns. They are 4 guns on each turret. I don't know who thought this was a good idea, but I don't know. This thing is definitely a guilty pleasure ship just from the pure amount of chaos this ship can cause on a flank. The ship has smoke, hydro, a heal, absolute monstrosity with a 16 gun range when you build into the range, with a 4.5 second reload, 10 kilometer concealment, and it has the best no armor is best armor. This thing is almost impossible to citadel by battleships. You just have to get extremely lucky or do a lot of plunging fire at long distance to be able to citadel them, because if you're up close, you're most likely not going to be able to citadel them just from the fact that it has no armor. Cruisers are able to citadel it, thankfully, and so can some of the bigger gun destroyers like a Kleber or Elbing are able to. But anything with larger caliber shells or fast shell velocities will have a really hard time citadeling the Smolensk. This thing also has a very high fire chance of 8%, with 16 guns. That is a lot of DPM you're putting out. This thing is absolute monster. This thing was a terror when it first came out, and it was quickly removed from coal when it first came out. Do you remember how long it lasted in the coal shop, SAT?
Uh, I'm not sure, honestly. I know it lasted a few patches before they ultimately removed it.
Yeah, the next ship we'll be talking about got removed almost immediately. It got removed. It was the quickest removed ship in WoWs from the coal ships. But SAT, what are your thoughts on the Smolensk?
Smolensk thankfully has gotten easier to deal with over the years. There was a big captain build change that actually affected Smolensk a lot, since you could no longer get the 20% range for free on her. So it made her a lot harder to play for most players because you lost that extra range. She's still very annoying to deal with, and like in the smoke HE spamming combo was always powerful. But it is surprisingly hard to play for average players because she actually dies super quickly if the things just line up against you. Like if you angle, a battleship can just get a AP salvo through your angled butt and citadel you. Goodbye half your health. Not to mention the range actually starts working against Smolensk because you have to be very careful on where you deploy.
Yep, exactly. That plunging fire can really do damage if you're not careful. So
Yeah.
moving on, the next ship is going to be the Thunderer. This ship has to be one of the easiest battleships to play in World of Warships. Pretty much imagine this, right? Back when this ship was first introduced, only the Conqueror line was in the game. And kind of the British battleship gimmick was AP bad, HE really good, and dispersion wasn't the best for the Conqueror line, right? This thing comes
Mm-hmm.
out, amazing HE, amazing AP, and super accurate. Yes, it pretty much it got removed from the army. I believe it was 2 months. From the army when it first came out, it was another coal ship along with Smolensk. It took maybe 2 patches for this thing to get removed. And during the time when it was in the game, it was also around the time Deadeye was in the game. And if I believe that at that time it was as accurate as this. Would you remember if it was as accurate as the Slava with that Deadeye skill, or was it just a little bit less accurate?
Less accurate. I mean,
Okay.
Slava is its own category, but Thunder is pretty dang accurate.
Yeah, it was insanely accurate. Pretty much in World of Warships nowadays, if you see a Thunderer on a flank, 90% of the people are not going to push it. Just from the fact that this thing at long distance, are like from 17 or 18 kilometers away, it's almost impossible to catch up to them. And they have such a strong DPM of HE and AP that you're just going to get farmed out way before you ever even get close to them. They have a 65% fire chance. So pretty much they are guaranteed to get a fire on you. If they don't catch fire, it's extremely lucky for you and very like bad luck for them. And with the HE salvos, they normally do at least 10 to 12k per HE salvo. And that's like on the lower end. They can do higher with the HE since the guns are 457s. And the AP on this ship can dev strike a lot of just cruisers, some of the battleships that are lower HP. It's just an absolute monstrosity for the World of Warships. If I ever want to go out and do easy 200k matches in a battleship, the Thunderer is the ship for it. And the Smolensk is the same thing, where I want to do over 200k matches. Same thing with the Smolensk. What are your thoughts on the Thunderer, SAT?
Thunder, like Smolensk, got hit with a pretty notable nerf. She got her range reduced pretty drastically. Now, she's still very powerful, but it was funny to see a lot of players complain about that range nerf as if it like broke the ship, like made her unplayable.
Yeah, how
It's
much
just
was the nerf? I thought it was like 2 kilometers, right?
I think it was like closer to 4 kilometers. So if you could get that range back if you took the range upgrade, but that also means you lose out on that sweet DPM. So some players complained, but I mean those players were probably not very good to start with. Everyone else was like, yes, at least you actually have to put your ship at risk in order to hurt, even if it's still pretty dang not fun to play against.
Yeah,
Now,
exactly.
yeah. So in a randoms game, still very difficult to deal with. Make one mistake, goodbye half your health. But at least in ranked, ranked or clan battles, you won't see her just because that she just doesn't have any defense. Like the battleships there are required to tank for the team, and well, you can't in a Thunderer.
Nope, you are not able to. Now, I forgot to say that the Smolensk and Thunderer are both available for Santa containers, just like the Benham. So if anyone's trying to get these ships, they are available for Santa containers. That is the only way you're able to get these ships. So just make a note of them so you guys know how to obtain them for the future. Moving on, it is now SAT's turn for his 2 guilty pleasure ships. So what are your 2 guilty pleasure ships?
The first one I'm going to say is the Smaland. And that is because Smaland is A, overpowered, and B, I played her too much in clan battles. Like, back when Smaland was the meta destroyer, I would play her all the time in clan battles. She has about everything you want in a gunboat. She has enough mobility, she has excellent gun power, she still has backup torpedoes as an option, and you get radar to absolutely face roll any other destroyer. I mean, she's not the easiest destroyer to play, but when played properly, you can easily swing games because, well, you see an enemy Shimakaze on the enemy team. Well, goodbye, enemy Shima. Your game is done before you even started. And that just leads to easy steamrolls because you kill their spotting, and then you get to do whatever you want. Take the cap, go flank the enemy, start shooting enemies that are distracted. Insert that. Smaland is still probably the best destroyer to take in a div because you just absolutely wreck the destroyers and let your other 2 div mates do the rest. Like, it's completely not fair for the enemy destroyer. That's how bad it is, or good it is.
Yep, exactly.
Do you have any thoughts? What are your thoughts on it?
Yep, I remember that meta as well because I remember playing the Smaland in clan battles as well. I was one of the top. Whenever I went to clan battles, I was forced to play Smaland. So I remember those hard times as well, being the Smaland person. Because one, back then the Smaland was being removed and some of the people didn't have it. And over time, less and less people had the Smaland that were around. So you just became more of the dependent Smaland player. So you had to get really good at it. So you played it for months and months and months and months. And over time, it's just, yep. You just become so efficient at it. You just never get tired. You just never get bad at the ship. It's so easy to play. That engine boost on it is freaking god tier. It doesn't say it increases the acceleration, but it gives you a 30% speed boost, and it also makes it where you accelerate really fast. So you can do a lot of really strong throttle jukes against destroyers or anything that you're fighting, which makes this ship it's already a hard target to hit. But with that engine boost, it makes it even harder for people to hit you. And with its really high DPM, with the radar and the torpedoes, it's just a very strong competitive ship that to this day is still a strong ship in ranked randoms. Clan battle meta shifted a little bit, but Smaland is still around in some cases. Most of the time, you'll see more like faster Ds to try to grab caps at this point. Be more maneuverable, but Smaland's still a very strong competitive ship. Definitely a guilty pleasure if you want to go out and just bully any destroyer that you encounter. This ship is available from Santa containers, so unfortunately you have to gamble for it, just like the Benham, Smolensk, and Thunderer. this ship didn't last too long. What resource? Sorry, the Smaland was originally for 2 million free
Million.
X. Oh, sorry. Wait. Oh, sorry.
No.
No, no, it was 2 million. 2 million free XP. It was originally for 2 million free XP.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on, the Hayate was introduced for 2 million free XP. And it was like, and people were like, why would we get Hayate when you can get Smaland? And then they removed the Smaland, put it in Santa containers over a little bit, and the Hayate was still worth 2 million free XP. And then they removed all the free XP ships and put them into coal ships. So that's the journey of the legendary Smaland. Now, what is your final guilty pleasure ship there, SAT?
Conde.
Oh, yep, the Conde. This monstrosity of a cruiser.
It is the tier 11 French heavy cruiser. So back when HIV was released, she was initially not very good. Then she got a reload booster, and people realized, wait a minute, she can speed juke and then DPM boost people down with that reload booster. And she even got a ledge mod to go with it to make the lighthouse build the best option for her. So even though they nerfed HIV later, Wargaming decided, hey, what if we turned that idea into a super ship? And thus Conde was born. So not only you gave Conde excellent DPM, you also gave her a funny button that can delete any cruiser if aimed correctly. You give her a reload booster to overcome that problem and just burst people down as normal. And even when all that, and then you make her unhittable with that speed boost.
Yep.
And even if everything is down, you can still have really good firepower for a cruiser. So the end result is she's at least fine even if with the player's inexperience. And if you're trying to fight a good player like John of Ruthless, GG. You're just not going to win. There's just no way. Unless you somehow detonate him. So, yeah. If I want to carry solo games with just the most overpowered ship in the game, I would take the Conde. Because why bother with objectives when you can just simply kill the entire team?
Yep, exactly. I remember when this ship was first introduced to the game, this thing's funny button was absolutely legendary. Just the fact that you had the reload booster and the burst fire just made this ship an absolute monster to fight against. Now, you could just dev strike cruisers at like 17, 18 kilometers away. Like, you just be dark, you just be sailing along, you see a cruiser being bow when got spotted by a DD, he starts turning out. You just pop that reload booster and the burst fire, and yeah, they're dead. There's not much they can do, and this thing's insanely accurate. The AP hits really hard. The AP is able to Citadel battleships, correct? Like the Conqueror.
At close range, yes.
Yeah, because I was trying to remember, because I haven't played it in a long time. I was like, I distinctly remember using the funny button on like a Thunderer or a Conqueror and just dev striking it with the funny button at close distance. It's just an absolute monster. Is it still a top pick in clan battles for if there is super ships? I don't remember if it was.
It's such an amazing pick. It gets banned every single time.
Oh, there you go. Just like the Petro usually is. The Conde is forever set on the bench, never to be free.
No, too overpowered for clan battles, but not overpowered for randoms.
Yeah, exactly. If I want to go out and bully the server, Conde's definitely one of my top picks, along with SAT scores. But yes, you can currently get the Conde in game. All you have to do is go to the French line and research down to the Henry. Once you have the Henry researched and you have, I believe is it, how many tech tree lines is it, 3 or 5?
Uh, for Research Bureau, it is 5.
No, I'm talking about for super ships.
Super ships, just 3.
Okay, so for super ships, you just have to have 3 separate tech tree lines researched, and once you have that, you're able to buy the super ship for 50 million buckaroonies, 50 million credits, and it's all yours. A thing to note about the super ships that a lot of people don't know is that the super ships, well, we all know that they cost insanely a lot to run, but they also have a lot of potential earnings for XP. So sometimes a lot of the players that have billions of credits will use super ships to farm free XP, commander XP, and ship XP. Is what I've seen a lot of the more whales of credits will do. They have so many credits lying around that they'll use super ships to farm. Conde is probably one of their top picks, along with some of the other battleships like the Maine. The Maine at this point is definitely a lot of fun to play out of the battleships. I personally love the Maine. It's so much fun to play. But yeah, is there anything else you want to add, SAT, on the Conde?
Nope. She is the closest Wargaming has released to a cheat ship. Although Maine might actually challenge her in that regard.
Yeah, I love the Maine, dude. It's so much fun to play.
Uh-huh.
If there
I
was
don't...
like a top 6, I feel like for me, Maine would be on that. It would be on it. It's so ridiculously strong.
Uh-huh. Like, oh my gosh. A lot of super ships could honestly follow on this list too, just because, yeah, I don't want to run. I don't like running them, but if I do, it's like, yeah, it's kind of a easy mode.
Yeah, exactly. Like Annapolis is pretty easy mode. It's ridiculous. Like DPM insanely good. Maine's insanely strong. Like Annapolis and Maine are both extremely strong. Edgar is just a giant meme in itself. Hilariously, I find the Edgar to be a lot more. It's probably one of the more difficult super ships to play, but it's a very hard but high reward ship. Hard to play, but if you can play it right, does extremely well for the Edgar. But anyway, that's going to be it for the video. If you guys have any questions or you have your own top 5 suggestions you guys want to do, definitely leave in the comments down below. This is OverlordBou. Thank you, SAT, for helping me out today. Do greatly appreciate it. And I'll talk to y'all later.